κρατώ το μικρόφωνο με τον κόσμο να μιλάει. Γεια.
the last Normally at occasions such as this, I would invite people at the back to come and fill up, a few empty seats. I won't do that in case some of us end up in frail care in the movement thereof. But the more important thing is this room is full, and that is so wonderful. Such an honour for old Rob, who I know is with us today. And it's so fabulous to see the family, to see everybody here, far and wide, come to celebrate a wonderful man's life. One thing that I learned this morning was that, when you see your close relatives and you hug them, you have to go up on your tiptoes. Very, very seldom have every single person in the family that I hug, I had to go up on tiptoes. And I knew, in that case, there was one man, Robin Williamson, who must have been involved in some way. There are people further than we are here this morning. I'd like to just send a special message, of course, to Peter and Maureen Bristol, who I understand are in Provence, in France. Also other wonderful friends. They are Bristols, of course, important part of the family. And then we also have the Kotsis family, or all the way, I think it's about the furthest part in the world that one could be, and that's in Victoria in Canada. If you can see us now, Basil, Pat, and the rest of the Kotsis, we're very happy to have you with us, and anybody else who might be also live streaming this event. I want to thank the family in particular, Jen, for the great honour of being asked just to officiate proceedings here this morning. Because Rob was above all one thing, and that was an honourable man. He was a man of great character. I read a book recently entitled something along the erosion of character in the 21st century, which we're all very familiar with. But if we can be sure of one thing, Robin Williamson kept his promises. He honoured his commitments. He did not run people down behind their backs. He spoke people up, etc., etc. And this makes for a very rare, less than 1% type of person in the world that we know it now. So thank you, Jen, for giving me the honour of this job. Just to introduce myself, some of you might not know who I am. I am Peter Christie. I am Pat's. Where's my mother disappeared? I'll look over there. I think you're not my mother. There's my mother. I am Pat Parker, who of course is Jenny Williamson's sister's son. And in my relationship, of course, to Rob, I know that I am indisputably, unquestionably, his favourite nephew. I am also unquestionably and indisputably his only nephew. All right, so let's just say that, of course, we have a choice this morning. We could commiserate, which is the appropriate emotion, mood, atmosphere, and so forth, which one expects at occasions such as this one, or we could celebrate. We can make two choices, or more choice out of two options. But I think that the choice is actually very obvious. And the choice is obvious for the following reasons. Rob was an only child to a successful entrepreneurial family. When I was a kid, my dad, George Billy Christie, used to drive us around in downtown Joburg, and we would see there Williamson and Patterson. And then my dad would say, that's Uncle Rob's dad. Woo! There's some successful, aspects of the family there. He was a corporate guy, not so entrepreneurial, and so forth. So he came into a world which was loving. I remember his dad was also a very tall guy, fairly austere in some respects, as was his mom and so forth. But surely inside they were beating hearts of blood that loved their son very, very much. Rob excelled at school. There were no dramas and failures or, getting involved with the wrong crowd and so on and so forth. He excelled at primary school. He excelled at high school. He did very, very well academically. I understand civil engineering is not an easy degree to get into, let alone finish and so forth. He also excelled. He was I won't reveal what I know is in a couple of other speeches, too much detail and so on, but he also excelled on the sports field. He was a great hockey player. He played tennis, of course, as many of you will know, and other sports in which he excelled at, which you'll have a few more details just now. Rod went on to forge a very successful career. Again, I won't give the details, it will be revealed to you a little later, but his career effectively spanned a long, long time. He was still being consulted into his 80s. He received many, many industry awards for his long-term commitment and expertise in large dam projects, stadium dam projects, the mining industry, and so forth. Would, if they were here today, give great accolades to a man for his engineering expertise and knew. He was a very successful consulting engineer that went into leadership and management and ran a substantial engineering company for a very long period. He also, of course, had opportunities to travel the world. I think that if we had a little map, Jen, in front of us, and we said, okay, Jen, close your eyes, blindfold, right? Put a little pin on this map. It would be somewhere that they had visited, and eventually that whole map would be full of green pins. Whether it was in South Africa, whether it was internationally, I remember every single year, relentlessly for at least decades, and so forth, Rob and Jen would be travelling the world to interesting, exotic places that weren't the sort of typical ones. They went to the typical ones we all go to, but where there were large dams and where his expertise was being drawn upon and so forth, so that there weren't the kinds of disasters that you sometimes see beset poor engineering decisions. But I think that there are two things which really separate out our choice that we need to make here this morning. The first is that, and some of you will have seen the pictures, and we'll play them again a little later, is that what Rob managed to do was he, in his way, seminally, created one of the most closely knit families on planet Earth. There's very few families as close as the Williamsons. All of them. You will see the pictures. They all reveal the bonds which hold people together, which are familial, which again 90% of us do not have the benefit of enjoying. All the children are here, the grandchildren are here, the extended family are here. This was a legacy which is a very unusual legacy, to have a family as loving to one another as the Williamsons are. And then we come to the most distinctive feature, I think, in our decision that we might need to make here this morning, and that is the great love affair that was established between...
Don't tell them
everything. Everything. A great love affair that really began not as a love affair as such, as little ones, little kitty winkies, little toddlers, and so forth. And their friendship and what became their love affair extended over a period of nearly 63 years. That is older than many of us in this room, probably by, I don't know, well, I won't say. But if we think about the marriages that break up, the families that are ripped apart, the people that, I don't know, have no loyalty to one another in a real way, where their whole lives are wrapped by difficulties in their relationship and so forth. That was never the case with Jen and with Rob. There were occasions, very recently, when I was fortunate to see Rob for the last time, where I had to give a little intervention, if we should say, in relation to what he wanted to do, which was to listen to the radio. And I did say, do you know, Rob, what the difference between a wife and a radio is? And he looked at me and I said, you can turn off a radio. Yeah, Jen, we're so pleased to be with you today. We're not going to be sad. It is a sad occasion. We have those feelings. Of course, they are entirely appropriate. But I think that if you get to your mid-80s, you've established this kind of a legacy. You spent maybe, of course, 18 months struggling with your health, but for the rest of your life, pretty much in good health. And then you've developed all of these things. What we should be doing here this morning is to celebrate a great life, not to commemorate or commiserate about our particular loss. It is a gain that we have the benefit of interacting with this wonderful man, Robin Williamson. Jen finds it difficult to sometimes contain her tears. It can be a fairly trivial matter for most other people, and their tears will be streaming down Jen's cheeks. She is an emotional person, which is wonderful, because it means she has a beating heart, and she feels a great deal. But it does make it difficult when it comes to speaking about somebody who has been by your side for pretty much your entire life. And so she has asked if Albie would present, or just to read the words that Jen has penned for this occasion, which of course is all in honour of Rob. So if you'll excuse that, I'll just ask Albie if she would read Jen's speech to you. Thanks, Albie.
Thanks. Thanks so much.
Do you want the mic?
Your electric books.
I'll project. Can
Yeah.
you hear me at the back? Good. So, good morning, everyone. It's my honour to read Sunny Jenny's words this morning. And I hope I'm doing justice, Sunny Jenny. So, no, you better have it. Yes, okay, I'll use it. Maybe I shall stand here. That would be better. All right, like that. That's good. Now,
Down a bit, down a bit, down a bit.
down a bit. All right. Yes, that's good. Thank you so much. My dearest family and friends.
Go a bit closer to the mic.
Good? Like that?
That's better. Yeah.
Like that. So,
Cool.
cool. Thank you so much. My dearest family and friends, where do I begin? My mother and Rob's ma played tennis together at the Zoo Lake Tennis Club before we went to school. I remember Rob clinging onto the wire and shouting, "Ma, what can I do?" Her reply was, "Go and play with Jennifer." I remember going to his 5th birthday party. Rob and I started school in grade 1 in Miss Carr's class at Rosebank Primary. 6 months later, my father became our headmaster. We were in the same class until Standard 5. Rob then attended Parktown Boys High School, and I went to Parktown Girls. This very tall, skinny teenager managed to get his colours for shot put, of all things. He played tennis, cricket, and hockey too. From there he went to Wits to study civil engineering, and I went to the Joburg General to commence my nursing training. Rob played hockey for Old Parks as a centre forward and scored many goals. And I spent many freezing cold, dusty Sunday mornings watching his goal-scoring abilities when I could get off duty. Right to the end, he was still scoring many, many goals in his dreams. His pride and joy was his motorbike. I think it was a matchless 500cc. We started dating in his second year at varsity. His working career started at the Joburg City Council, designing the first motorways. After 1 year, he decided it was not the job for him. He then joined Canthak and Partners Consulting Engineers and was made a partner at quite a young age and landed up being the longest serving person in the firm. Rob loved his work as it entailed many different projects and challenges. He designed many tailings dams for the mining industry. As a result of this, he was invited to attend the International Committee on Large Dams and was a chairperson of the Tailings Committee. Rob was still consulting at the age of 82. When Rob had been working for 18 months, Rob and I got engaged. His mother was horrified as we were far too young. We were married at 23 years of age. At our wedding, we waltzed to Moon River. In the song are the words, "There's such a lot of world to see." And Rob said to me, "That is what we are going to do." Through his work, that is just what we have done. We were fortunate to have 3 fabulous children, Sally, Bruce, and Grant. They have all married the best people we could ever have asked for, Mike, Shelley, and Silla. We have 5 grandchildren named Mandy, Craig, and his lovely fiancée, dear little Kate, Heather, Rowan, and Phoebe. They are simply the best, my precious angels. How fortunate for me that they are all living in Johannesburg and have been so much part of our lives. Rob has had another wife. My most precious older sister, Patty. Since Pat's husband, John Parker, passed away, Rob always included Pat into our lives. Pat has 2 children, Marianne and Peter. And Peter's dearest wife, Albie, that's me. And whenever we went away, Rob would say, "Ask Pat if she would like to come with us." Rob was the photographer for our last 2 quilting books and put together a first-class slideshow. He drove us all over the country and was our chauffeur and gopher. He came with us to Paducah in Kentucky, where he was shattered by the hundreds of American quilters, who were very large, dressed in t-shirts, tight t-shirts, mind you, and sneakers. I could not begin to tell you what we have gotten up to throughout our lives together. We have camped, caravanned, and done road trips to nearly every dorp in South Africa, plus Southwest Africa, Swaziland, Rhodesia, and the Namib Desert. Rob loved his tennis. and he would play with a gynecologist, an orthopedic surgeon, and a dentist. We did 6 5-day trails with our walking friends. Oh, what fun times we had. I need to mention that Rob and I have only one dear friend left who also started grade 1 with us, Debbie Burney, née Mary Davies. We have shared much laughter, tears, and have treasured memories with Debbie and her husband Peter. When friends say to Debbie, "We have known such and such a person for 40 years, Debbie replies, "Oh, that's nothing. Rob, Jen, and I have known each other for 80 years. We are so lucky to have had so many wonderful friends." Our dear maid of 17 years, now retired, has travelled all the way from Taung to be here today. Many thanks, Vicky. Well, hope you all have not gotten bed sores from sitting in your chairs while I have rambled on. 7 years ago, we moved into Riverside. Rob came here after months patrolling, as he was so stubborn as an ox, kicking and screaming. After being here a few months, I heard him saying to a neighbour, "It is marvellous. There is no electric fence and gate to worry about, no pool to see to, and no lawnmower to fix." Phew, that I smiled to myself. The last 1.5 years has been so tough for Rob. Once on dialysis, from being an extremely active guy who loved travelling, he became so weak that he could not stand up. After nearly passing away in Sunnighill Hospital in July last year, and having to come back to high care 3 weeks ago, Rob was too exhausted to carry on. He passed away so peacefully in our wonderful frail care with our most precious sister Kathy and awesome staff. Life will never be the same for me. I shall miss Rob not being by my side more than words can ever say.
Thanks very much, Elby. Thank you kindly. Yeah, I remember Rob's help that he gave me when I was in primary school, based, I think, on his love of motorbikes, which, of course, I share in common. And when you hear that bike, it was a Matchless 500. The Matchless 500 today is one of the most sought-after motorcycles in the world. I think you could probably get about £100,000 had you kept it. Now I tell you. But you know, we all get science projects at school. In primary school, at Rosebank Primary, where I was as well, where, of course, Pop Barnes had been headmaster and so on in Standard 4 or Standard 5, thereabouts. You had a science project. And those of you who know me, I get a nervous tick when I think about things scientific. I'm a storyteller. And so this was a big problem. But there's no drama, because sometime in conversation at a family event, Rob must have picked up on this idea that there was a science project and Peter was a little traumatized because he did not know what to do. Rob took me into his workshop, that beautiful old workshop at 83 West Wold Way, and he said, "No problem, we are going to make a water reticulation system." We are, Rob, we are. And I'm going to show you, and we will show your fellow pupils and your teacher, how you can use gravity to make water go uphill. I mean, come on. Get going, Rob. So Rob got going, and he had various size tins, which he then welded kind of together with various pipes and so forth, so that eventually the water came out higher than where it began. It was unbelievable. And of course, when I showed this little contraption at school, I think I got a Merit Award. So Rob, we can add to his little, list of accomplishments, also won a Merit Award for the science project. In any event, Joe, that's just a little aside. So we are going to, just to give you an idea of where we're going with this, we will be finished by 3. So we want to honour the man appropriately. We are going to take the speeches, testimonials, from Rob and Jen's 3 wonderful children, my cousins, and we will go in chronological order, if we can, with the firstborn child, who also happens to be a woman. Ladies first. And then we shall hear, of course, from Bruce and also from Grant. So, over to you. Thank you kindly. We'll help you out, son.
This is the hardest thing I have ever had to do, so please just bear with me. Dad, it is an honor and a privilege to have had you as my dad for 60 years, and I am so proud to be your daughter. You have been the most incredible husband, dad, father-in-law, and grandpa, always showing a keen interest in everything we do. Your endless love and support of our family have meant the world to us. The whole family will always remember the happy times spent in your South Prim house, which you love so dearly. You have shown by example to be kind, always available, to listen and not to judge. I can honestly say that I have never heard you say one negative word about anyone. Dad, I promise that we will try to look after Mom as well as she has looked after you in recent years. Life without you will never be the same. I'm going to miss you more than words can say. But my heart is filled with thousands of special memories of time spent together with you. Bye, Dad. I love you.
Thank you. So simple is powerful. As a storyteller, I'm tending towards verbosity. Less is more. Thank you kindly. So, sometimes when James Phillips and I, that was a cousin, also part of the family, became better known perhaps as Benal the Suleiman. It was his alter ego, and he was part of the sort of fool fray movement of the 1980s in music, quite an alternative chap and so on. When we were good friends, we would go past Westworld Way, and then we would call out to one Bruce Williamson. We are on our way to catch some quirker. maybe even, a cop or a barber. And Bruce was a very keen, colleague of ours, let's say, at the early morning sessions at Zoo Lake while we attempted to do some fishing. Of course, Bruce has continued with that passion and has developed great expertise in the fly fishing world, as well as, of course, in the artisanal beer brewing market and industry and so forth. And we all know that Rob did enjoy a little tipple. He even sneaked some whiskey in occasionally into places where it was not allowed.
You make this taller. I hope my battery doesn't go flat because I'm terrible at remembering what to say when I get up and talk. But anyway, So, I mean, Mum said most of it, but I just thought I'd, give you guys a few impressions and some stories about Dad. Dad wasn't one always to express himself in words. He quietly showed us all a beautiful moral code to live by, in the way he went about life. A glance was all it took, and we were quite naughty. There we go. Yeah, we were all quite naughty sometimes, particularly Grant and I. And it didn't take much, just a glance was all that was needed to course correct with those big eyebrows. And we needed it quite often. But he never raised his voice. It was just like quietly no, and we knew we were doing something wrong, and usually changed our ways quite quickly and tried something else. So, yeah, but Dad really led by example, and he's the epitome of that. And I think both in his personal life and his work life. I think Dad was first to the office every morning and probably locked up at night. Put in a lot of hours, and was really like a diligent, hardworking, lead by example type of guy. But he was also a biker, in the 60s. So the Matchless 500's been mentioned, but what wasn't mentioned is that, I don't know if it was after school or varsity, but sometime him and 3 intrepid mates got on their motorbikes, rode them to Lorenzo Marx in those days, which is Maputo, and then all the way down the coast to Cape Town and back, just with a ground sheet. Backpack and a ground sheet. I think there were 2 up on each bike, 2 bikes, 4 guys, 2 up on the bikes. Hell of an adventure around the whole coast. And I think that this must have kind of sparked his love for travel in the outdoors. And Dad traveled extensively and took Mom with, and the family as well. So as has been mentioned, Dad married his childhood sweetheart Jenny 62 years ago. And the love affair moved quite quickly into a family situation with Sel and me and Grant joining the Williamson clan. The 3 of us took a little longer to extend the family than they did. But anyway, Dad was as has been mentioned, a diligent, unassuming young civil engineer in the kind of 70s and 80s, during a time of great growth in the mining and infrastructure sectors. He rose to the very top of his field, designing tailings dams and things. And I just want to read, he was recently awarded a Lifetime Achievement Award by the Consulting Engineers Society of South Africa. And I just want to read you a quote from that. And it says, in the realm of consulting engineering, few individuals have made a mark as profound as Rob Williamson. Through his leadership, commitment, mentorship, and unfailing integrity, he's become a trusted advisor and an icon in the industry. Rob was chair of the South African National Committee on Large Dams, where he made significant contributions to dam engineering in South Africa, served as chairman of International Commission on Large Dams, ICOLD, Committee on Tailings Dams for a decade, served various other committees and made huge contributions to the advancement of the engineering consulting sector. So like a real, giant in the industry. And he was often brought in to fix problems that other people couldn't solve. And seldom took the credit that he was due. Dad loved being busy. He never sat still. Didn't even like watching TV. He had to be busy doing something all the time. Always tackling a project, whether it was woodwork, making bookshelves, fixing the roof, building his dream house in Dainfern, where him and Mom lived happily for 10 years. Sorting out, rebuilding the South Room house, doing just endless projects. Dad couldn't sit still. Even on holiday, he never sat still, never liked going for the beach for too long. He'd want to be fiddling with something, fixing something, always busy. They say, if you need something done, give it to a busy guy. Dad was that guy. Dad got deeply involved in our schools, PTAs. Grant and I both spent some time down in the Drakensberg at the Drakensberg Boys Choir, and Dad was on the board of the school, did fundraising, kept that little school going for the period we were there, made endless trips up and down to the Berg, sorting out endless problems there, but just quietly got on with it. Dad also always had a lot of time for us. I think he'd get home from work and we'd be nagging, Dad, we want to play tennis, and he'd drop everything and play tennis with us. On weekends, he'd be busy in his workshop, and it was, Dad, we need to go fishing, and he'd drop everything and take me fishing. Just unbelievable. And with Sal and Grant and I, he kind of also, I think, patiently showed us how to enjoy playing sport and tennis and stuff without being obsessed with winning, but just to enjoy playing and participating and stuff. And always grateful for that when I see the pressure these days to perform. Anyway, Dad loved the outdoors, took us camping, fishing, hiking in the mountains, loved going to the bush where he and Mom regularly went to Mabalingwe and had a timeshare there. And Kruger and all over the place and further afield. As Mom said, they camped, they caravanned, we really adventured. I remember going on rescuing aloes when they built the N1 to Petersburg, camping on the side of the road and digging up aloes to bring back to Joburg and stuff. I mean, crazy adventures we had. Once at high school, I was hauled out of school class to the headmaster's office to say that my parents were in a plane crash. Not many people survived those, but they did survive. They first told me they'd been in a plane crash and then sort of said, oh no, but they're okay. So they were in the Okabongo, in the bush again, in a small plane that didn't quite make it to the landing strip at Mount. I think they had helped guide the plane down and avoid the baobab trees, and I think it stopped about this far from one in the end, and they all survived. So got another kind of 30 or 40 years on the back of that. Amazing. Full of adventures. Dad never griped when I wanted to get up at 5 in the morning in Southbrim to go and catch shad. Kind of patiently took me along. Just really was always there. He always quietly allowed us to do crazy things and supported our passions, be it photography, windsurfing, travel, fishing, going to London in some people's cases, and then Mom's quilting, just hanging out and listening to our latest music with us on his handmade hi-fi that he spent months fiddling with and building while we were interfering. But Dad was a keen photographer, and I think it was part of that keeping busy thing when he was traveling. Same with bird watching, keeping busy in the bush when others went to take a nap. I don't think he did that. I think he would wander around in camp he's ticking off his bird list. Dad followed Mom around the world to quilt shows, as he said, took amazing photos of their quilts for their books. He managed to hang on to the Southbrim house, rebuilt it into our family sanctuary at the beach, where all of us, the whole family and friends, have had incredible storied holidays and gatherings over the years. And so many special Christmases. I mean, Christmas to our family means being in Southbrim together. Absolutely amazing to have that. Mom and Dad also loved their little, their flat, they call it, their townhouse in Cape Town, where they made a home away from home and have enjoyed in more recent years. Dad loved being surrounded by his grandchildren, Mandy and Craig and Heather and Phoebe and Ryan. Recent years were tough. Dad soldiered on. He played bridge here. Here at I'm going to forget the name of the place, Riverside. Met for tea with a group of people and friends here. And he endured his hospital stays with a lot of grace. Didn't enjoy it, but he kind of pushed through. He was present all the way to the end. Held us close. Enjoyed a wee dram of whiskey in the evenings. And so much love to everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Bruce. Very heartfelt speech. Thank you so much. I suppose there is a tendency sometimes at these kinds of occasions that we might naivify person. You know, they're superhuman. They fall from the sky 2 kilometers up, and together with their wife and so forth, they climb out of the plane and, you know, go looking for giraffe or whatever one does. These sorts of occasions and so forth. But this is a man who would never make a mistake. But I remember one time Rob did make an error of judgment. I don't know if you remember, or if you might guess. He made an error of judgment once when he threw a glass of petrol on a fire that was not burning as fast or as hard or quickly as it should, and gave himself a very bad burn. So even these very clever, intelligent people who are full of good character and so forth do make the occasional error. Jen and Rob did not make an error with their 3rd child. Our most loved, the youngest of them all. I remember him running around as a little kitty winky. He was a sort of long baby. I said, you were a long baby. Yeah. And you had a mop of red hair and so forth, and you went running around, usually after Bruce, up to mischief making. And so it's gorgeous that everybody's healthy here today, 3rd child, and we welcome Rod to give his little testimonial. Thanks so much. Good luck.
He's a baby.
The baby.
Sure. Thanks everyone for being here today. Amazing to see you all here to honour Dad. Thanks also for the messages that have poured in over the last little while from friends all around the world. They've been hugely appreciated by the whole family, and really showed how much Dad meant to so many people. Thanks also to Sister Kathy and the fellow care team. We've heard about Sister Kathy and how they took care of Dad these last 2 weeks. And to Mariki and the Riverside staff for taking care of today. The events of Sunday and Monday last week leading up to Dad's passing on the morning of Tuesday, the 27th of May, had a sense of serendipity to them. Funnily enough, that was the name Dad came up with for their share club, which Mum and Dad and some good friends had formed way back when, and really enjoyed for so many, many years. The entire immediate family had seen and chatted to Dad in his last 2 days, and on Dad's absolute insistence that Mom go to Madikwe, she had said goodbye to him on Monday the 26th with a heavy heart, but also knew that she was honouring Dad's last wish of her, that she had to go to Madikwe, a place very special to her, and somehow that was what Dad needed. Also on that Monday morning, after Mom had left, the uncanny timing of Sal's arrival here at Leeuwkop 5 minutes before the ambulance, which had been called, and upon hearing Dad's next last wish to stay in Leeuwkop a little longer, he avoided going to hospital and got to spend his last day here at Leeuwkop in the caring hands of Sister Kathy and team, and visited by all of us. Also, Mom was in a special place with a very special lady, Kim Goller, to look after her, as well as Gail Daniel and the rest of the Madikwe crowd. That gave Mom the huge support and the space to just be in a bubble for a few days. And having Sister Kathy by his side right towards his final moments, finally Dad gave the peace he so deserved when he succumbed early on Tuesday morning. But now we had a problem. We needed to let Mom know the terrible news, and Madikwe has almost no signal, cell phone signal. We called many times with no luck, but somehow on about the 10th try, Mum had a very brief window of cell phone reception when we phoned, and we managed to tell her what she already knew would be coming. We got cut off after about 20 seconds, but the call had got through. Not long after, we got a beautiful message of condolence from Kim, assuring us that she was there for Mum and that Mum was okay. Mum couldn't have been in better hands. Sally, Mark, Mandy, Craig, Kate, Bruce, Shelley, Heather, Rowan, Scylla, Phoebe and I all spent a very sad but very special day together at Bruce's last Tuesday. I'll never forget that day. It was was serendipitous.
As was your stew.
Yeah. Going back to some older memories and stories, when I was in grade 1, the teacher asked the class what our fathers did. My response was, my dad fiddles. You see, Dad was a DIY guru. I spent many hours alongside Dad in his workshop at 83 West Way. The workshop was like a mini hardware store. And this was where Dad would fix and fiddle with things and do woodwork of all sorts. Dad had one tool that stood out from the others, his radial arm saw. A beast of a machine, which he invested in to make the beautiful wooden banister for the staircase at 83. Gladly, I still have that arm saw. Well, it's a little bit scary, but I still get to use it every now and again. Anyway, back to the teacher's story. My mom apparently had to explain to the teacher that Dad, the fiddler, was in fact Dad, the civil engineer. A brilliant one at that. But I still say Dad was an expert fiddler. I remember Dad taking me and Bruce fishing at Zoo Lake, and one of my earliest memories is of him teaching me how to tie a hook to a line. I still use that same knot to this day when I go fishing. Dad was too busy to fish for a while, given his career endeavours, but he got back into it during his non-retirement and loved his fly fishing at Finsbury with the Williams many times. Dad was also my sporting hero. He spent many hours with me playing tennis and cricket, teaching me the secrets of ball sports. He also ensured I had all the equipment to go with it, tennis rackets, cricket bats, hockey sticks, etc., etc., etc. Tennis was a big part of Mum and Dad's life, and Dad absolutely loved the Sunday tennis at the Tuckers, Daniels, Scholars and Bristols, and Thursday night tennis with the doctors at the Goddess. Dad even had a tennis court built at 83. Dad was also a big part of Bruce and my windsurfing obsession in the 80s. In fact, a large part of that decade, our family holidays became windsurfing holidays, and he ensured we had all the gear to go with it. Dad would himself sail his Half-Life 500 on the South Brim Lagoon when the wind was just right. Dad's immense achievements in the world of tailings dams saw him ascend to chairman of Sankold, and with that, many overseas trips to ICOLD conferences the world over, accompanied by Mom. And then during his non-retirement, Mom and Dad still continued to travel to many countries that they hadn't got to yet. Yep, retirement never actually happened. Dad continued to consult for Night Peaceolds until he was 82 on many projects, including the Kusili project. My dad told us, my favourite tale that Dad told us from those ICOL trips was from the first Japan trip in the early 80s, I think it might have been the late 70s. Now Japan back then had seldom encountered such a human being. The Japanese were totally fascinated by this giant of 6'3", with huge bushy eyebrows. Eyebrows that in fact earned him the nickname amongst my varsity mates of Brows. And now back to Japan. When his Dad's surprised on his first restaurant visit, he had to remove his shoes to go inside the restaurant. His holy socks were revealed. Big toes sticking out, much to the huge amusement of the Japanese. It didn't end there. Dad couldn't sit cross-legged on the floor at their floor-level tables, so dinner was a chaotic affair, Mom says. I think Japan may have become more Westerner-friendly since then because of him. For Christmas 1984, Dad decided the whole family were to be spoiled to an epic 4-week overseas trip to Europe. On a shoestring, of course, but wow, what a trip it was. A couple of the highlights for me were firstly Paris. Of course, we didn't catch any taxis, too expensive, so we walked everywhere. One evening, walking back to the hotel for our supermarket bought dinner of baguettes and cheese on the bed in the hotel room, we somehow got lost, even though Dad was very good with maps, and found ourselves in the heart of the red light district. I remember pointing out to Dad the glamorous ladies gyrating under the red lights behind the window. Look, Dad, those ladies are competing in a dancing competition. I'm not sure I needed to point them out. And it definitely wasn't a dancing competition. We also spent 2 weeks in Neustift, Austria, skiing. I have incredible memories of the exhilaration of skiing on the Stubai Glacier with him as guide. Skiing is still a great love of mine, thanks to Dad. Dad also loved photography, as you heard, and would often prepare slideshows for the family on his projector of all these trips that he did. Dad took us on many great caravan holidays as a family across the country, including the Drakensberg, South Coast, Klet, Knysna, Cape Town, and even Rhodesia way back when. Dragon Peaks in the Drakensberg was his favourite. We spent many long, happy days hiking in the berg, Dad leading the way. And I especially remember him taking us up the chain ladder at the amphitheatre. Drakensberg, as Bruce has said, became a big part of all our lives for 5 years. Bruce heading off to Drakensberg Boys Choir for 4 years, followed by me for 1 year, and Dad was heavily involved with the DBCS board. Dad also got very into making audio recordings of our concerts, managing to procure a high-end Sony Walkman from one of his Japanese iCult colleagues. We would listen to the concerts in the car on holiday trips, and also Stars on 45 as well, of course. We also caravanned in Klet one December at the Pisangsvallei Woonvaartpark, and Peter's alluded to the story here, but not Dad's best holiday, because he managed to set his whole face alight, trying to light the briar with a bottle of liquid firelighter he had procured. And somehow he recovered from that with no scarring, but he was quite the looker on Lookout Beach that holiday with a charred black face. Eventually, Dad sold the caravan, and we spent so many happy family holidays at the Southbrim House. He also had the Southbrim House renovated in 2006 into a real holiday home, and Mum and Dad and the family and many others holiday often, right up until this last Christmas, when by sheer determination he miraculously made it down there for one last holiday and Christmas with the family, despite his ill health. As you may have gathered from some of these stories, Dad was a careful spender of cash, and with his sharp analytical brain was the ultimate bargain hunter, never wasteful or extravagant. Food Lovers Market was his favourite shop recently, especially the Avos, because Woolies Avos are a rip-off. Even recently, unable to drive, he would scan the newspapers for those Food Lovers specials and dispatch Mom to buy those cheap Avos. But on the flip side of the coin, you would have also gathered that Dad was an enormously generous man to us as a family and those around him. A kind and gentle man of integrity who meant so much to so many people. Finally, Dad also loved bananas. I shared with him his last one alongside Zellenbach at Riverside at the Veldge last Monday. Dad, you were an exceptional man. You lived life well. Thanks for being my dad. Love you always.
Wow, sure. 3 brilliant testimonials. Thank you very much to the Willys children. All of you. Thank you kindly. So North American Indians, so-called Red Indians, the indigenous people of North America, have an interesting way of thinking about death. They say that people die twice. The first time they die, they stop breathing. The second time they die is the time when the last person mentions their name. So I just want to encourage you all to please keep Rob alive. And we keep him alive by talking about him in the way that we have spoken about him this morning. So we've come to the end of our deliberations, not quite the end. We've got something very special, we hope, lined up to occur now, just to close off the ceremony. Of course, everybody is invited for tea and coffee and refreshments and so forth, and we do hope that all of you will join the family for that. But one wonderful thing that African people do at occasions such as this, that us Westerners seem to have lost our way a little, is to sing heartily, to sing with heart and to sing with soul. And the staff of Riverside will now sing, and once they are finished, we will consider the ceremony over. So, I'm looking for the singers, and I'm now going to try and put them into place. Yeah, no, they're on their way, and so, yeah, we'll just settle down, they'll be with us soon. I'll just share with you one last thing that I remember about Rob. You could not beat him at darts. Could you beat him, Bruce?
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah, that's could you beat him, Rob? No, you could never beat him, and so forth. I think he had a height advantage, over little dwarves like the rest of us, sort of ordinary mortals are, and so forth. But he was pinpoint in his accuracy, and I remember many times as we would share holidays at Sunnyside Guest Farm, when Jen and Rob would come down and so forth. This is long before any children were conceived and so forth, and we would play darts, and whether it was target or 301 or 501 or whatever the case might be, you wanted to be on Rob Williamson's side, because then you would be a winner. Come in, ladies, come in, gentlemen, do come in, and we shall close this with some beautiful singing.
Motimo wahalalela, Motimo wahalalela, wahalalela, inserita, ela Motimo wahalalela,
Thank you most sincerely, ladies. Thank you very much, Rob Williamson. Thank you kindly, Rob Williamson. Thank you, Rob Williamson. Join us for some tea and refreshments now, if you will. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, everything went smoothly.
I'm just speaking to Mike.
Plenty about the street. They're going to get it done now. They're going to get it done.
Yeah.
Thanks, George.
It's nice that there's support. I think it is time. When is it? Next
Is that why you were What was her reaction to that? She thought it was very funny.
When he released I'll say one, I don't know why she's telling Jeff.
What are you doing?